Hello everyone and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments. We are going to absolutely cook with some decks here today. The meta is ridiculously wide open. This is all stuff that we thought wouldn't be good, that we thought couldn't be competitive, but in the current Marvel Snap metagame is absolutely incredible. And there's no better way to start that off with Agatha. If you saw, however, that Silver Surfer thumbnail, and that's why you're here, the thumbnail deck, we always do at least 3 decks a day. The thumbnail deck is almost always deck number 2, so make sure you stay tuned for that. This is a deck, however, from our friend Regis Kilbin. Regis, one of the biggest, well, the biggest Marvel Snap creator, has some gameplay for this at his youtube.com/@RegisKilbin. But this list we know is legit because our friend Perry Mantle, who you can find on Twitch, got an Infinity border with it. He beat Infinite Conquest with an Agatha list. That's right. The other reason we're featuring this outside of its success is that this is an extreme budget list. The only high series card we need here is Black Knight. I don't suggest you necessarily go get Black Knight just for this list, but if you have all the other cards, it's not the worst idea in the world. This list dips in and out of the meta, so there's no guarantee it's good for very long, right? But when it is good, it is extremely cheap and extremely powerful. Nebula is just powerful and simple here. You play Nebula on turn 1 fairly often in a random location. She scales for 1/3 or 1/5, and you're perfectly happy with those stats. Spider-Ham as a 1/2 is currently genuinely terrifying. As soon as opponent plays him, I haven't played him very much, but as soon as an opponent plays him, they're forced to play important cards in their hand or risk losing them. Because he now hits a random card, like if you've got like 3 cards in hand, you're like, oh, I wanted to save my Werewolf for turn 4, I wanted to save my Merlin or whatever for turn 4, you have to get that out of your hand a lot of the time in order to save it from Spider-Ham, and that makes the card absolutely terrifying. Black Knight is one of the key cards of the deck. You are using Moon Knight or Lady Sif to ideally get rid of your Agatha Harkness. If you can get rid of that Agatha Harkness, having a shard that costs with 4/14 that is only really hit by Shadow King is incredibly freaking strong. Your only discard cards here are, in fact, Lady Sif and Moon Knight. Lady Sif is almost always outside of the occasional location Titan that lowers 6s to 5s, is basically almost always going to hit that Agatha, while Moon Knight is going to hit Agatha or Ghost Rider unless you have Elysium happening or some other shenanigans like Icebox, but generally speaking, they're going to hit the right cards. If Moon Knight is guaranteed to hit Agatha, it is better than Lady Sif. If not, I would generally speaking play the Lady Sif over the Moon Knight. The reason for that is stature, but we'll get to that soon. Ghost Rider to bring back a big Agatha is obviously fantastic, right? Being able to have a 19 power lane on turn 4 or at the end of the game is just suddenly incredibly powerful. Iron Man allows you to go over the top of decks that you would not otherwise be able to do so with, and thus is just so useful, while Claw is a last turn power spike. If you can play Claw and Stature in particular on the last turn of the game, you end up with a Doctor Doom-esque turn. Black Bolt is your backup way to make sure Stature costs 1, because you do want that last turn very often to be Claw or Iron Man or Lady Deathstrike along with Stature. Lady Deathstrike is the closest thing you have to a control card, I guess outside of Moon Knight, because just getting rid of cheap things, making sure you can kill the occasional Bullseye, the occasional Mobius, so on, is incredibly important. If you see that the opponent has Mobius, make sure you're using Moon Knight and Lady Deathstrike, because you want to try and make sure that you can get that Stature out. It's the most important card in the deck, because that 1/7 Stature, again with a 5-drop, is generally your last turn. If you had the Shard and Ghost Rider, you're lucky enough to do that. It'll be that 1-drop Stature with either Ghost Rider or the Shard. Alright, so Agatha being a meta deck is wild. Again, the meta is completely crazy how it's wide open right now. Turn 1, you want Black Knight over Nebula over Spider-Ham. Turn 2, Agatha is going to play whatever she wants, but she generally has 1-drops. Turn 3 is Lady Sif or Moon Knight, and if you get rid of Agatha and you can see your opponent's power output, that they're not going to be able to match it, you can consider snapping on that. Don't forget that Moon Knight is preferred for the Stature. Turn 4, we can drop Ghost Rider. I prefer to drop a Shard, obviously. Shard can't be shunged. Or we can do earlier plays. We can also do Agatha plays, but if we're not discarding, we're actually letting Agatha play on turn 4, we're fairly often going to retreat at the first sign of a snap. Don't be afraid, however, of Ghost Riding early and getting Shang-Chi'd. It's annoying, but not the end of the world. You can still win that lane very often with a Claw. Adding 11 power to a location with Stature and Claw, and then 7 power to the location that Ghost Rider got Shanged in. You still have the Ghost Rider's 5, the 7 power, so you end up with a 12 power lane, and that's usually, not always, but usually good enough to compete in a Shanged lane. Turn 5, Black Bolt if we haven't played Moon Knight, over Iron Man, Claw, or Lady Deathstrike. If we have played Moon Knight, we don't usually want a Black Bolt unless there's like an obvious Deadpool type thing in hand. We'd rather play the Iron Man, Claw, or Lady Deathstrike. Turn 6, Stature and one of the 5s, or we can do Ghost Rider Shard with that Stature. The meta is crazy open. Almost every good deck right now is capable of performing at least a B level, and Agatha right here proves it. However, I think the Surfer deck we're going to talk about is above a B level. But before we get there, please hit that sub button if you're willing to help support the channel. We are doing our very best to bring you the best Marvel Snap content, including decks every day. I'm moving around the world in 2 weeks, and we will never miss a day on this channel if I can avoid it. So please hit that sub, like, and comment if you like and appreciate the videos and their consistency. In addition, we are kicking off our Mr. Fantastic First Steps giveaway. We are giving away that season pass. We're giving away, in fact, 5 of that season pass this week. So all you have to do is sub, like, comment, and you can be entered to win Mr. Fantastic First Steps. I'll tell you what specific comment to leave later on in this very video. So if you're interested in a free card, free stuff good, make sure you do that. Next up, we've got Heart of the Werewolf. This is Heart of the Cards. So we'll have a podcast coming out later today. We had our friend Zenade on the pod, and what ultimately happens is Zenade starts making fun of Surfer for being dead and making fun of Heart of the Cards for Surfer being dead. Heart of the Cards, who's been trying to learn different things this season, immediately goes and makes a Surfer deck that you see in front of you and rolls to a 60+% win rate. Turns out Surfer's not in fact dead. The best Surfer player just hadn't given us the right build yet. Welcome to the right build. Let's talk about it. If you'd like to watch the best Surfer player, please check out twitch.tv/heartofthecardSnap. He's amazing. This deck needs Merlin, Werewolf, and Carter. Copycat and Sage can be Cask, Gladiator, Negasonic, Killmonger. Gwenpool can be Kahori or Galacta. Surge and Sam can be Forge, Kate, or Jennifer Kale. Alright, so Sam Wilson has several uses in this list. The first use is just having a 2/6. Having a 2/6 is a good thing to have. Really simple. The shield, however, offers 2 other uses. First, it works very well with Captain Carter to get cards behind her. You only have Brood to automatically fill that lane, so having access to that shield, you can just play the Carter and the shield lane, and now you'll automatically get those cards in the back row, then they'll be buffed by Carter. Really nice stuff. The other thing it does is it always gives you a card to use the Merlin spell that gives you extra energy on. That's really, really useful on turn 4, because we very much want our turn 5 play, especially when we don't see Gwenpool's card after 4, but we very much want our turn 5 play to be double 3. Having access to Sam Wilson allows that. Surge is another way to get that double 5 on 3. Double 3 on 5, double 5 on 3. Double 3 on 5. Basically, it can hit one of the 3 drops and make it 1 cheaper, and thus you can play that with another 3 drop on turn 5. Merlin, again, gives you the extra energy to do that. The location change is really good. And the last thing Merlin does is Merlin turns Sam, Surge, and himself into 3 drops. Turning them into 3 drops is incredibly useful because that makes them be hit by the card Silver Surfer, which is now so much more important in this deck than it used to be. Merlin also offers you spells, which can move around your werewolf by night. Seems like a good thing to generally do, right? Sage offers you a decent amount of power at the end of the game. She tends not to be stupidly huge in this list, but she is very good, particularly very, very good at guaranteeing you a Carter lane. Very, very cool card. You will play her on 5 reasonably often, which does leave you open to Shang, so be forewarned. Brood is a power card in every Surfer list. If you just need to autofill a Carter lane, Brood will do that. You hit that lane with the Surfer, and it's basically a 1 lane. If you've got Werewolf, that's especially powerful, obviously. Meanwhile, you would very much like to hit Brood and Carter with Gwenpool, but obviously that's harder to do than it would be with Galacta. But, you just want those extra buffs in this list. Carter, again, starts as a 3/2. With Surfer, you can get her to a 3/4. Surfer can make her a 3/3, and then obviously Gwenpool can be 3/4, 3/6, 3/8. The more hits you get on her, the better. She and Brood are your power cards that you sort of want to drop. You used to have to drop Carter late game because of Galacta. Now you can drop Carter earlier because she doesn't get quite as big. Surfer is now very, very important. For a long time, Galacta was the best card in the deck. Now we really do need that Surfer buff. There is a ton of Destroy. There's a ton of stuff that Cosmo absolutely ruins right now, so make sure you keep Cosmo around for all that good stuff. Juggernaut and Cosmo and a game are absolute lane stealers. You have Cosmo in 1 lane, preferably on turn 5. You Juggernaut and Surfer, and then you should be able to win that damn game. Use Surfer wherever the hell you want Werewolf to end up too, because Surfer lanes are often throw lanes, but Werewolf makes them very strong. We don't have a million on reveals here, but Werewolf basically says we can almost always compete in a lane no matter what. In this very good stuff, strange meta, Copycat is often incredibly, incredibly powerful, and thus worth running. Just having a 3/5 that could be almost any card that your opponent cannot know you're running Copycat, and thus have their thing, is very strong. And then Gwenpool is our new Galacta in this deck. She's just better now. She's our big buff. This one has a 64% win rate in 25 games, and is plus 23 cubes. That's an almost 1 cube a game average in around the top 30 of the Infinite leaderboard, like plus 200 SP or so, that high up. This deck is for real. Turn 1 pass, turn 2 Surge or Merlin, or over Sam. Generally speaking, if you have Gwenpool, I would go Surge. If you don't have Gwenpool, I would go Merlin. Turn 3 Gwenpool if we can, if we get lucky and top deck it after Surge, over Werewolf, over Carter or Copycat. Turn 4 Gwenpool, or 3+1, and that one obviously comes from Merlin. Turn 4, we're going, if possible, 2 other 3s, and then turn 6, we're going 3 and Surfer. Learning where to play things, exactly when these cards come out, is not super easy. There are games you're going to throw Surfer to do things like Juggernaut Cosmo, to do things like Carter Brood, so on and so forth, but either way, like, this list is an absolute beast. Surfer wasn't dead. Again, the best Surfer player just didn't show us how to do it. We know now. Go compete. Have a great time. Win with Surfer Werewolf. Clea, this is our last chance review. She'll still be around after this week, obviously, but you might have to wait a while for her to show up. Clea is like the best, like, random, stupid, terrible card they've released in quite a while. Like, I don't think Clea is actually a very good card, with the big caveat to her not being a good card, that I think she's ridiculously fun. Like, I don't think she's one of the top 50 Series 5 cards you should get, but if you get her, you'll find some reasonable uses for her, and she's pretty powerful. She's really good with cards like Werewolf by Night and Professor X. She's really easy to trigger with cards like Marvel Boy and Nakia and Kahori, and she's just better than she looks. Is she great? No. Is she surprisingly good? Yes. I'm a big Clea fan. Again, don't go out of your way, but she is pretty damn good. For a bad card. Next up, we have the Goatseeker. Our friend Goatseeker never submits decks, but now he has. Hi, Goatsy. And he built this from scratch. Get it, Nicholas Scratch. So I had to use that as the title. This is a hilariously good deck, hilariously fun deck. Agony can buff Clea. Agony can help you with the Professor X lane. It also, or Lasher, and it keeps that one card for Namora. So Agony is really great there. Agony on Clea is an extra flames. Lasher is an sorry, not Lasher. Hulkbuster is an extra flames. Ironheart Hit is an extra flames. And Namora is an extra flames. Obviously, Flames of Faltine is incredibly strong and useful. More Flames of Faltine equals more power Nicholas Scratch. Between Agamotto, Merlin, and Clea, you should be able to get a 1/5 most of the time from that. Again, just nice to have. Joaquin Torres is insanely good with the Flames of Faltine. Giving -6 to cards in that location is great. You don't really have anything else you're crazy about doing here, but hey, you can hit Merlin and raise 2 cards cost by 1, or raise Torres's cost twice, which is pretty damn solid. You can also throw an unused card into the deck for energy and get rid of some shit locations. Because we're trying to buff Clea, we want another card that we really want to buff, and that is Lasher. Lasher, buffed by Hulkbuster, Agony, Namora, Ironheart, is insane. As soon as you get Lasher to a 3/5, as anyone who's played Cerebro can tell you, as soon as you get him to a 3/5, 2/5, that 2/10 in power in a lane is absolutely backbreaking. And you can go well above that with this, while being Shang-proof. Merlin lets you get rid of crap that doesn't work for you right now, changes locations, buffs Nicholas Scratch, great card to have. Ironheart is another buff card here. You want that to be in the Namora lane. The other use for Ironheart, it's really, really great to turn into a 4-drop. 4-drops are a relatively safe thing to turn cards into. They generally are just generically good, and Merlin turns your Ironheart to a 4-drop. Negasonic is also good to be turned into a 4-drop, particularly after it's been used. It's a really nice card to have access to in this list. Professor X can steal a lane. You would throw Professor X into a lane. You can still use Flames of Faltine to win that lane, Ironheart to win that lane, so on and so forth. Agamotto spells to win that lane. Namora is going to give you a bunch of buffs. Ideally, we're buffing Lasher and like Clea, and then we can sort of go off with a bunch of stuff on the last turn of the game. And then, of course, Agamotto gives us access to a bunch of like really, really awesome spells. Chucking a card out of Professor X lane and giving it -4 power is incredibly useful, let alone having the access to the ramp or turning everything, turning like a bunch of extra cards into Negasonics or like any of that kind of thing, or like having multiple Lashers in a lane. All that is incredible. So Agamotto is just a great, great card here. Or, hey, Goatseeker, this deck needs Agamotto, Clea, Lasher, Falcon, and Merlin. Weird list of cards to need, I know, but here we are. Namora can be Vision, Miz, or Captain Marvel. Scratch can be Rocket, and Agony can be Forge or Penny. We did the card by card. So Clea just does a bunch of really cool stuff, right? Like, this deck is an example of why Clea is unique and powerful. Turn 1, Scratch usually over Clea or Agony. Turn 2, Merlin over Lasher over Taurus. Turn 3, we're going 2+1 over Ironheart or Negasonic generally, although if we went Clea into Lasher, we'll then just drop Ironheart fine. Turn 4, we're going to do buffs on Lasher and Clea. Turn 5, Namora or Professor X. Turn 6, Namora and a 1 or JTF plus spells to win. This list is cool. You've never seen anything like this. Admit it, this is going to be a blast to play. It's going to win way more games than it should because your opponent's going to be like, oh my god, do they have like a negative 12 on my side of the board with just Clea and then another like negative 12 on my side of the board with Lasher? How do you stop that kind of thing? You don't. You win games, especially because Professor X is still very strong right now. Remember that, by the way, that you can turn a used Professor X, a used Namora, into a 6-drop just fine using Merlin's spells. Please check out twitch.tv/PulseGlazer if you're so inclined, where we will be streaming very likely on Tuesday to go over the new season and its new cards. I've got to eat a bunch of tacos first, but as soon as I get home from a bunch of tacos, all you can eat taco night before I leave the country, we will be back in order to stream, and then I will be live Wednesday with the Pirate King Tucker to go over everything you need to know about the new season coming. All right, our season pass question is really simple. If you'd like to win Mr. Fantastic, how was your weekend? If you're American, what'd you do for the 4th? We are giving away a PAX code. If you want one, follow me at youtube.com/@comicbookclick and check out a stream at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. All right, we're going to finish up with a deck we covered in the top 10 decks. I think this is an S tier deck, straight up. I know that it's got Kid Omega, and I'm sorry, that's why it's the last deck in the video. Kid Omega will be out in about a week and a half, 2 weeks? About 2 weeks after this, right? So we're getting closer to all owning Kid Omega, or all having the ability to own Kid Omega after the disaster that was Overdrive. But Jet basically grinded the crap out of the mode to get Kid Omega, used a little bit of gold, and was able to get the card, and thus he has this insane deck. That is honestly as much a Deadpool deck as everything else. It's like got Phoenix Force and Nimrod, Dormammu, and Kid Omega, but like so much of the deck is just Deadpool is big. All right, you can find Jet at twitch.tv/Jet13. There are 5 E's in that. Make sure you check it out. Jet is one of the best players in the world, currently in the top 10 of the Infinite leaderboard. This deck needs Kid Omega, X-23, Dormammu, and Phoenix Force, which means it needs some high series stuff, but it's not actually that expensive because they've given everyone X-23 and it's Series 4. Phoenix Force is a very old Season Pass card and it's Series 4. Dormammu is new hotness, and Kid Omega is new hotness. So, all right. Deadpool's basic job here is to get big. If you get a big Deadpool and you have Kid Omega and Venom, you can win the game. You basically use giant Deadpool plus Dormammu, Venom, or Kid Omega to win the game 90% of the time. If you hit Deadpool with either Forge or Hulkbuster, it scales up so fast it ends up being an absolutely backbreakingly humongous card. That is a thing you like to do in Marvel Snap, have backbreakingly humongous cards. Just a suggestion for you. Nico gives us access to the Draw 2, which is the best thing in the world, but don't be afraid to copy a Phoenix Force, a Nimrod, a Deadpool, so on. There's a lot of power, obviously, in those moves. As is the +2 on Deadpool, the +2 on Nimrod. X-23 gives us extra energy, largely to Nimrod on turn 4, but generally having extra energy is just very, very handy to have. Kid Omega, it lets us destroy Deadpool and keep its power. It's incredible. Or destroy Nimrod and keep its power. Also incredible. Carnage, meanwhile, is one of our 4 destroy cards here. We're running Carnage, we're running Venom, we're running Deathlock, we're running Dormammu spell. All 4 of those are trying to destroy Deadpool and Nimrod as much as possible. We do want to bring that. We can absorb the Nimrod with Dormammu if we must, but we'd much rather get the Nimrod early, and then we can play the Phoenix Force to get another Nimrod, and then when we destroy that Nimrod, it's 11 power, which is really, really nice. Forge is buffing Deadpool or Nimrod, generally speaking. Sometimes it'll hit a Venom or something, but it's buffing Deadpool or Nimrod in order to get them big enough to win games. Everyone's trying to make 1,000,000 power Nimrods, but just an 8 power Nimrod is more than enough. Hulkbuster, especially again with X-23, gives us access to a 9 power Nimrod. We love to see it that way, and it makes Deadpool scale stupidly huge, crazily quickly. Venom lets us destroy the Nimrods and the Deadpools while keeping the power. Deathlock doesn't, but it's a destroy card that we have to run. Phoenix Force is, again, bringing back, generally speaking, Nimrod, but don't be afraid to, if you've destroyed, if you went Deadpool into, Forge into Deadpool, I don't know, and you had, X-23 and you, I don't know, Carnage somehow, right? You get the extra energy or whatever. Don't be afraid to Forge to get Phoenix Force to get that Forge back in order to get Nimrod, or a Phoenix Force in order to get Nico +2 or Nico whatever back to hit that Nimrod. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do that because you're going to use the Dormammu spell. Sometimes you aren't. Nimrod is just big. It's sort of a backup plan against Deadpool here, but it is big enough and useful enough to beat a lot of mid-range decks. And then we just sort of incidentally get Dormammu a lot here, and he's often big enough to win a lane. Rank 7, 59% win rate at high infinite is fantastic for such a strange deck. Turn 1, Nico Destroy over X-23 or Deadpool. Turn 2, we're going Forge or Hulkbuster for Deadpool or Kid Omega. If we have Hulkbuster, I will play Deadpool over almost anything except Nico Destroy or Kid Omega. Then turn 3, we're going to destroy Deadpool plus, and now we're going to play Ritual 1 usually. Turn 4, we can Phoenix Force Forge. We can Nico. We Phoenix Force Forge or Nico, and then we can also destroy Deadpool one more time in Ritual 2 and set up for a buff Nimrod. If we were destroying X-23 and we got Nimrod out now, we're also pretty happy to do that. Turn 5, Nimrod buffed and trigger Kid Omega. Or you can just, if you play that Nimrod, now you're going to want to drop a Hulkbuster on him and then destroy him the first time. You can drop a Hulkbuster on him, then immediately trigger Kid Omega. Turn 6, Dormammu, Final Spell, and Deadpool, or you can just destroy that Nimrod some more. This list is fantastic. I don't know what else to say. It's genuinely fantastic. It's very easy to throw Prio. Deadpool is stupidly big right now, and this list can beat almost anything. I so badly want Frigga, and I can't figure out how to have it, just because I think Deadpool in this list is that very good. There's a lot to like here. Genuinely, like, so much to like here. This is one of the very best decks in Marvel Snap. If you want to eat all the mid-range decks we talked about so far, and you can get to Kid Omega, I guess we have to wait till the 16th. I don't own it. I'm going to have to wait till the 16th. Well, here we go. If you'd like to see some gameplay, since I won't be live for the next couple days, please make sure you check out the stream team, where our friend Obi Haved, the great Obi Haved, it will be live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Check it out, and I'll make sure that I have a video for you tomorrow morning. Our question of the day is from Bear Mode. Bear Mode asked my favorite hips, and I'm just sort of doing a little tour through. I did my first 3 favorites yesterday. My next 3 favorites are Agatha, thematic for the deck, holding the giant cat with the big old eyes. Her face here looks amazing. I love this Agatha. Next up, we have Armor, and the sort of smile, like the armor looking happy, while also the armor, like, character looking happy. It just brings me joy. This is my favorite Armor in the game by a lot, and this is also my favorite Cerebro. Again, turning the like machine into a face, much like Armor's armor into a face, really makes it sing. It sparks joy in a very real way. So these are 3 more of my favorite Dan hips. I think we're gonna do one more day of this before we go on to other questions. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. Let's say thank you to a whole bunch of people. First, Jonesy Snap 22 is our patron of the month. Make sure you check him out on YouTube, please, where he releases hilarious and awesome Marvel Snap videos. Thank you to AG, Abigail Giesland, the OG. Burnout, hey Burnout, hopefully you're doing well, my friend. It Regardless is a word. LAB, always kind. Ink, the Graphite Van. I am Frostman, you sure are. Check him out on Twitch. He should be streaming soon. Hota Navarrete, Prime Brian of the Prime Mind app. Ryan Burke, Berkey, Ryan Wood Snap on YouTube, Ryan Wrench. Welcome to Gopher Kev. Thank you so much for joining. Caretaker, the King of Questions. Koirei coming all the way from Japan. Kazushi coming all the way from the top 100. Archangel 3K, that's 4Ks, baby. Black Dahlia, Profros, Alliance Leaders of the Goat Seeker, another Alliance Leader who's also in this video. Hey, Goatsy. Code, last Alliance Leader for this group. Burnout's an Alliance Leader. So is the great Philly. I think we have King of Bros. We got a lot of Alliance Leaders in here, y'all. All right, Hallowed, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Absolute, Shannon, hey Absolute, Nightmare, Dirty Casual Filthy, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philly, Philip Brakovich, Haplo, what's happening, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Biz, notoriously with Black Jeebus 23, Exorcy and Skippy G, Jessica Campbell, Mr. Slush Death, The King Bros Bro, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Steve-O, 131, Gibbs, Cioto, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Rob Silvan, David Deweyville, Stephen Brankoff, Tristan Martin, Jason B, Mr. Greg Sterry, Matt B, Corey, Real Name Town, Goran, John Q, Jimmy Q, Q Town, Gestap, East Sage, One Big Man, Milkman for Real, Cactus, Reitzer, Yo Marco, Ted Pro, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe, De Carlo 220, that is a bunch of O's, Models Master Green, Pickety Boom Bap, Bricks 2, Click K Bricks, Green Goblin, my favorite Osborne, Unibot V2, check him out on YouTube, Flan 56, Spectrumix, Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ, Mikey, Hijinks, Don't Frickin' Flex, Nick, Degree Geek, Toxic, Soul King, Zodrix, 74, King of Canada, JJ, Dead Man, Falcon, Bob, Thor, Newman, 2 ties. Thanks for yesterday, even though it's in the future as I record this. The Great Lord Dev, Snap on this podcast, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course, Gunny T. The T stands for that's it for today. Tomorrow we will be back. Tomorrow's video won't be live at 8 in the morning like usual. We're going to release it whenever Second Dinner releases the season video. So as soon as that season video goes live, tomorrow's video goes live. So get ready for that, and I'll see you for Snap Take then. Peace.